The selling of baby parts is the claim against this organization, which is often used as propaganda by the pro-life movement. I sometimes hear this movement is pushing this idea that abortion is Planned Parenthood's only service. Even if this establishment does sell baby parts, is that really as bad as both pro-life and the media make it sound? Yes, this organization is non-profit. However, if the selling of the fetal tissue is the offense which pro-life is upset about, then why is their movement anti-abortion? I agree that selling is wrong, because 1, it's a non-profit organization, and 2, they're selling fetal tissue, which is both disgusting and not for them to sell. Why not just take legal action against Planned Parenthood for that alone, though? Why aren't they simply trying to make the selling illegal, forcing Planned Parenthood to strictly donate? Has this movement ever researched fetal tissue to learn why this is happening? I just did, and there were medical benefits in fetal tissue. Looking this information up took me 10 minutes. 10 minutes! Women are also asked by a clinician if they want to donate. I would say why not just let the fetal tissue be donated, as long as these women are getting an abortion, but the pro-life movement isn't trying to get abortion to stop. The pro-life movement is only interested in protesting, preaching, and arguing, also to push its agenda politically. Well, they do want abortion to stop, but on their terms. Why not just take advantage of abortion, as long as the demand exists, because of their problems? I would say until nobody has a reason to get one, but nobody is even trying to eliminate those reasons. Politicians certainly aren't. They're all fixated on abortion, not the reasons for abortion. The selling of fetal tissue is not the only aspect the pro-life movement tries to use against this organization. They also propagandize that abortion is its only service. Planned Parenthood's website itself offers educational information. The main page has a Learn tab, which consists of abortion, birth control, cancer, emergency contraception, health and wellness, pregnancy, sex and relationships, sexual orientation and gender, sexually transmitted diseases, along with resources exclusive to teens, parents, and educators. These sections provide information and resources, although many have a hatred toward others who are different, so the sexual orientation section might offend them. That's irrelevant though, because Planned Parenthood obviously provides many other services, which is the point here. Is pro-life also offended by cancer and healthcare? No? Well, the pro-life protesters are discouraging others from learning then, as they accuse women getting an abortion of murder. Pro-life also likes to guilt-shame irresponsible teenagers, so how are they supposed to learn with the angry protesting in everybody's face? People may even be too afraid to look at the website at home, fearing their parents might catch them, or find it listed in the internet history. The parents seeing it, assuming abortion. Pro-life exaggerates, selling these parts to make it sound like an evil scheme, when it's simply dishonest. I won't bother with the history of birth control clinics, but Mike Pence is the main guy behind the attacks, which have been ongoing since 2007. While the main focus is eliminating abortion, people are being held back from getting the information they need, other related issues, because even the politicians have the wrong idea. I don't understand how Donald defunding Planned Parenthood because of abortion, while he credits them for helping millions of women, makes any sense. Why shut an entire organization down because of one problem? Abortion offends Donald so much that he's willing to just stop this organization altogether, under the advisory of Mike Pence. This insanity makes Donald worse than his objection to abortion, to just deprive women like that. I guess couples would be a better word. Taxes are another issue which pro-life is angry about. Some people in this movement hate that their taxes are going toward this organization because their position is that they are in favor of life and that they're speaking for the unborn, saving lives. This ideology has even compared abortion to the Holocaust. After looking at Planned Parenthood's website, I guess they're also against information, which also means Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and the pro-life movement all wanted to fund information and shut it down. This movement also argues that abortion is killing entire generations off, which is partially true. The error here is these women didn't intend to become pregnant, which means those generations were never intended to be born. So, pro-life wants them to carry through with the pregnancy to punish them, which means they want unplanned generations born. Again, maybe if this movement would focus on communication instead of protest and preaching, these unplanned pregnancies would become less and less. There was lots of arguing over the definition of the term fetus, so I'll look at that now. Fetus, an unborn offspring of a mammal, in particular an unborn human baby more than 8 weeks after conception. The word is Latin, and this definition does say baby. I've thought about this myself, and after hearing Matt Dillahunty from the Atheist Experience say the fetus is the baby in the stage of development, the cell is obviously alive, even before conception. However, life doesn't actually begin until birth. The key word there is development. That's what's going on with the fetus. If their only problem with Planned Parenthood is their taxes funding it, why attack this organization? If none of their taxes are funding it, they shouldn't have a problem. Are taxes about what people want their earnings spent on? The pro-life movement needs to ask themselves, what will the outcome of stopping abortion by cutting Planned Parenthood off be? These people are so angry about abortion being used as birth control that they want every woman punished by being stuck raising the children they chose to abort. They don't care if the mothers are too young, immature, and irresponsible. And pro-life's only other option to them is abstinence. Pro-life says they're defending life, yet they're going to condemn the unplanned and unwanted children to a rough upbringing. Because of a tax outrage? This is responsible and logical? Wouldn't abstinence cause the rate of rape to increase? Oh, pro-life's philosophy is that choosing life despite rape is virtuous. So, rape isn't a problem. God doesn't approve of masturbation, so look out, ladies. Actually, the ladies might start raping. The pro-life movement's official site. This is a book and not a YouTube video, so I'm unable to provide a visual of this website to go over it and explain what's wrong and why. Some people do need an explanation. I searched this site up to learn more about this movement. This website is long and consists of anti-Planned Parenthood propaganda, embedded YouTube videos, donation links and various other links, hearsay and accusations. No information, only Christianity-backed fear, guilt, and hate. If I was to make a video, that video would probably be an hour long to click on everything. A legitimate and honest website would have the most important information or links on top somewhere, so the information and links are the first things people see. This website confirms the pro-life movement to only be on a religious crusade of backward morality, using all of the reasons women get an abortion against abortion. A look at the new pro-life movement's website. Scrolling down a bit, I clicked on an embedded talking head video, a gentleman named Matthew Tyson criticizing the direction and tactics of the mainstream movement. He also mentioned he's against abortion being illegal, but later said he understands abortion is all about the reasons why women get one, and that this movement has lost its goal, a legal and cultural battle. So I half agree with this man. What doesn't make sense here is he understands there are reasons why, yet he wants abortion to be illegal. If pro-life focuses on the reasons and actually starts solving problems, which will eliminate those reasons, abortion will either stop on its own or at least be minimized. I don't know how this movement intends to address the health reasons. Donald himself even understands there are exceptions when it comes to abortion. What also bothers me is they're only concerned about protecting the unborn. They have no concern for the mother-to-be. The other side to this movement, however, is that many people who identify with this movement subscribe to it for the wrong reason. I think those reasons also need to be looked at, because those people are only into it for their own gain, which makes it psychological. I'm not saying everybody in the pro-choice movement is perfect, but the pro-life movement is the main problem. The 11 pillars. Only 2 of these relate to abortion, which are the first 2. The rest are only their views on certain political issues. Number 1. The reasons for abortion include financial struggles, which is economic, so I don't understand why a political debate about abortion itself is in effect. If the economy is stabilized and everybody is benefiting in it, abortion shouldn't be a problem anymore. Of course, the economy would have always been stabilized and always moving forward if politics was legitimate. Maybe the women out there who don't feel confident simply need a psychiatrist or psychologist. Number 2. This movement mentions the right to live, which is nonsense because this isn't about rights, but dealing with the reasons women get an abortion. How does euthanasia affect the terminally ill or the elderly? This pillar talks about suicide to use as a tactic, saying suicide is the right to die, which is the other side to the right to live. There is no correlation between suicide and euthanasia. The mainstream pro-life movement calls women murderers, remember? The reasons for abortion. Rape is surprisingly one of the least common reasons. Incest is less common than rape. The reasons I read in the sources I looked at are personal or professional, financial, psychological, relationship-related, and health. Do any of these reasons suggest the women get an abortion with the intent to kill the fetus? Or that babies need some movement to defend them by being a social menace? Many women and couples are going through hardships or crises, which means there are probably social and economic problems due to the commonality of each reason within society. There's also the pro-life's taxation upset. They're only determined to stop their taxes, not dealing with the reasons. Their mentality is, life is all that matters and everybody's problems are their own fault. Sex education in schools. 17 states have abstinence-only sex education, which teaches students to wait until marriage. This teaching obviously doesn't include birth control or contraception. This means that these states value marriage over education, the students learning and understanding sexuality and reproduction. They would rather have these kids hold back for the sake of marriage than to have them know what they're doing. If that's the case, they're only using abortion as an excuse to push this obviously religious agenda. What about when these students become adults and do get married? They aren't going to have intercourse just to have a baby. They also won't know anything about diseases. Will they know enough to get each other tested? Sex is pleasurable and is also an important part of a relationship. So, this waiting until marriage notion is insanity. We also all have urges. Our bodies don't wait until marriage. Marriage is a human concept, and a natural bodily urge isn't going to conform to our bullshit ideas. The idea of education is to learn. This abstinence-only form of education is indoctrination because it involves shame of being gay or slutty, while it also teaches students that only marriage can provide psychological benefits from sex. The opposite is true because the minority shaming causes severe psychological damage to the point of self-harm. I also don't understand why such a class would even bother mentioning homosexuality. It doesn't touch on birth control or contraception. I'd honestly rather this class just send the gays and lesbians on their way, without teaching them, rather than to put them through this insanity to avoid the psychological damage. I guess the hate just needs to get its fix by shitting on those who are different and can't participate, to fulfill its deviance. So why is Congress still keeping this abstinence-only nonsense going if it's clearly not only useless but harmful? Arguments against abortion. The whole debate is about life, defense, and rights. while the realities of abortion are financial, psychological, social, etc. What do the life and rights of the unborn have to do with the various reasons women get an abortion? When pro-choice argues that life begins at birth, I have to agree because, yes, cells need to be alive to be active. The cell is only developing though. Again, birth is when the baby's life actually begins, in the sense that it grows and experiences the world. I'm sure that's what pro-choice is actually talking about. If not, that's how I see it. Aside from the usual arguments between the pro-life versus pro-choice battle, the pro-life movement really likes to grasp at straws. Would they really need to preach that the baby is not the woman's body, if getting an abortion was always just to kill the fetus off? Yes, many women do say it's their choice. This is only because pro-life keeps protesting and getting in their face. The mistake those women are making is arguing back that it is their choice because it's their body, instead of giving the reason why they got an abortion or why they're pro-choice. The unborn body isn't yours either, pro-life protesters. The expectancy of women going through with the pregnancy, despite being raped, is essentially saying abortion is worse than rape. That abortion is the actual problem, rape not being a serious crime or a problem, and using it as propaganda against abortion. Do women seek to be raped? No. I agree adoption is also a solution. However, no woman should be forced to suffer the pregnancy, especially just because some of society is offended by abortion. Never mind these women getting an abortion and start dealing with rape to get that to stop. I don't know if people are trying to say the fetus isn't human, or they're simply trying to say it's only cells being aborted. I can't really agree with the pro-choice on this one, because those cells are human. But again, the pro-life insists on arguing, because arguing is all they're capable of, if they aren't killing or blowing clinics up. A psychological argument is that getting an abortion affects the woman emotionally. This is because getting an abortion is a tough decision, and they don't get an abortion just to kill the baby, unlike what the pro-life insists. Calling them a murderer only makes it worse for them. The argument that the unborn is being punished is as ridiculous as arguing the unborn is being murdered. Women don't get an abortion because the fetus has disobeyed them. They also aren't taking anything out on it. Using abortion as a form of birth control is something I do agree is wrong. This is nothing more than irresponsibility though, making it either an education or psychological issue, or both. Pro-life has to turn everything into a moral crusade though, which is where they always go wrong. This movement could use a lecture on responsibility and maturity itself. I'm not saying the pro-choice movement is perfect, they're far from it, but pro-choice is only there to oppose and stand up against the pro-life's bullying and harassment. Pro-life is both a political and religiously motivated and backwards movement. I've saved the best for last here. Abortion being sin is the religious claim against it. The religious like to protest that abortion is sin, using the "thou shalt not kill" commandment to back it up. The religious only appeal to the Bible when they agree with it. If they weren't homophobic or anti-abortion, they wouldn't use the Bible or even identify as Christian. Regardless, I think a God whom they believe created a universe could have done better than pregnancy being the way of reproduction. Not just pregnancy happening so easily that is unplanned so often, but also that is painful and means temporary lifestyle changes. Christianity indoctrinates the people to believe that everything wrong or bad in this world is man's fault. So I don't understand why anybody is bringing God into it. If it's free will, let God deal with it when He will. God didn't give man free will for man to assume God's authority against others. Pro-life is trying to have the cake and eat it too, by playing the free will card, and then trying to push their beliefs onto others and get people to stop, either by preaching and protesting, fear-mongering, false shame and guilt, or by political manipulation. Back off, Christians. Violence against abortion clinics. This is pure hypocrisy, obviously, as many have pointed out and continue to. Killing to prevent abortions. The pro-life movement obviously knows their ideology holds no substance. However, these shootings are obviously just an extreme level of terrorism in an effort to discourage people from both working at these clinics and from getting an abortion. They either don't realize or don't care that their violent acts are also discouraging people from acquiring information and help they need. Fundamentalists and extremists don't care and will stoop to whatever low they feel is necessary to get their fascist message out. Some simply feel an obligation to take action themselves. They believe women are getting an abortion because they want to kill the baby, but they're allowed to just go ahead and kill whomever they want because they believe they're defending life. They're obviously not very smart if violence is all they know. I'm certain there are people in this movement who disagree with and are even appalled or angered by these violent acts. They should really speak out against it. If they're too afraid to speak out against those who do commit such acts, I say they're cowards. The arson, murdering, and bombing are all committed in the name of this movement. And those are the extremes this movement will go, which is an ideology they all subscribe to. This means it's their responsibility to at least speak out against those extremes. They obviously aren't guilty, even indirectly. However, not even speaking out against it makes them no better. Doing so probably doesn't stop such lunatics, but they can and should at least try. Again, they're all about protecting the unborn. What if they end up either killing pregnant women or even causing them to miscarry? Do they actually walk into the clinic and force somebody to show them no pregnant women are inside the place, so they can proceed to take whatever action against the place?